From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the Business, Equity, and Opportunities Podcast with Scott Sander.
Welcome to the Business, Equity, and Opportunities Podcast. I'm Scott Sander. On this episode, we sit down with the founders of the creative agency GangGang to learn about their personal journey and how their mission is bringing equity and culture to the world. We take a close look at the personal loans you may have and how they may affect your credit, and find out the importance of personal branding and how it affects your bottom line.
As a supporter of the Business, Equity, and Opportunities Show, Eskenazi Health is committed to working with minority-owned businesses to support the economic health and diversity of our community. Eskenazi Health encourages all prospective diverse suppliers to seek certification from a bona fide certification agency, preferably a local government entity, such as the City of Indianapolis or the State of Indiana. Learn more about our supplier diversity efforts and current opportunities available at eskenazihealth.edu/supplier diversity. Every business is unique and has a target audience. If you own or manage a business, Circulus Digital Media can help you connect and grow your customer base with turnkey digital solutions that are nimble, offering best-in-class results, service, and support to reach a bigger customer base, allowing you to pinpoint a specific audience down to the smallest details. Get outside the city, the state, span the globe. Put Circulus Digital Media to work for you. Get started now at circulusdigital.com. That's circulusdigital.com.
First, we want to introduce you to the creative couple whose vision and determination are the driving forces behind GangGang, the Indianapolis cultural startup dedicated to protecting and promoting art and culture in Indiana and across the country. We sat down with Molly and Alan Bacon last week as they were preparing for the next Butter Fine Art Fair, the four-day event that happens downtown over Labor Day weekend. It started in Indianapolis, and now it's a showcase for black visual artists that has drawn interest on a global scale.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Getting started.
GangGang is a creative advocacy agency headquartered here in Indianapolis and founded in 2020 as the way forward from a divided world, a divided city.
Yeah, so if everything in 2020 was about what separates people from the health pandemic to the race pandemic, which was, hit our country squarely, but also was, world news, we knew that art and culture was going to be the conduit to bring people together. And that's the impetus of GangGang.
I have been kind of working in community for almost as long as I can remember, but not really realizing that's what it was. I grew up at 38th in college, and my dad was always the one to get us out in the streets and working and meeting neighbors and using the arts to bring people together. So I've been doing that on the weekends and with my family since middle school. I studied the arts in high school and college. I wanted to be a graphic designer, and that curved into advertising and photography, and I've thus used that for my entire career. My career kind of centers on storytelling and marketing and the sociology of human behavior and how we can leverage our tools, which art is the most of, to make a better society. My lens in community and surroundings has always been the arts. However, my role and the way that I think about it has been in brokerage and finding opportunities for artists, because I'm realizing what they're providing to daily life. And so my approach has been, oh my gosh, does anybody see that these are the heroes here? And then the other half of my brain says, so how do I get them paid? And that's been, my MO. I understand the worth, and so I need that to match. It doesn't match the whole starving artist thing. And so that's what I've been into, finding opportunities for what I see to be true.
My background, I am the starving artist. As far as that is the history of my family, that's the history of African people's journey here through the diaspora. The banjo came from Africa. We're talking about, rock and roll and doing this, huge tactic, I made rock and roll. So we get to tell these really rich histories and stories within this lens. But, art has always been a very just visible, part of life. My father was a musician and, played in a band called Midnight Sun, which the spinoff of that was Midnight Star, and was gigging with Babyface and, After Seven, and just had a exposure to music at a very young age that allowed me to really understand why it's important, and just the music that I was just exposed to at the time, just from the 60s and the 70s, and just that movement, and just what was Marvin Gaye talking about, why was Curtis Mayfield's words so poignant, what were the things that even just crossed like Maya Angelou and just like everyone that just during those times. So just being able to get a good glimpse of why one, art and culture is so important, but as it relates to just the important pivotal moments in history, especially American history, when you think about our history, and another reason why GangGang is in existence. So professionally, cut my teeth here in the city, working for an education system, working for Harrison College at the time, was campus president of that institution, and that allowed me to get a good understanding of what community looks like and who needs help and why. And then, having that experience, and my next career opportunity was working for a global software testing firm, to running their training and education out of Johannesburg, South Africa. So just spending so much time in Johannesburg and seeing poverty from a different lens, and understanding that I know we have poverty here in America, but it looks a lot different around the world. So that context, just further, just any day, a system that you can now see much more visibly that has created this like disparaging context for certain groups of people, and we're focusing on artists, but taking that experience and coming back to the city and wanting to translate that into actual work. So looked at the United Way as a platform to start that, and was able to lead a social innovation fund that was a grant fund that started by United Way to tackle poverty from interesting and innovative ways. So that within itself led me to 2020. So over 10 years in the school system, spent some time in Johannesburg, and just that level of travel. United Way, 2020 happens. Babe is in the same crosshairs, kind of with her career. We're getting asked, so many questions about like what to do in this moment, and that was the launch of GangGang. So just catching up the personal stories to November of 2020 when we actually launched.
First, I'll mention GangGang's mission, which is to center beauty, equity, and culture in cities by activating the creative economy. So, that's what GangGang is about. Making cities equitable by way of the arts, period. And so there's so many ways in which we can do that, but our job is to advocate, for that mission, to advocate for the worth of the artists and their place in society, and, what it contributes to our quality of life. So just to say, advocacy is what GangGang does every day, and a lot of that happens by way of programming. Important to us is the way in which we narrate this work, and the way in which we even describe the artists, and what our work is towards or in response to. And so we're very much intentional about talking about cities and the infrastructure that needs to be provided for artists to be able to have economic viability for what they're providing. And so this is our model here, is about their care and about their economic viability, and less about platform, more about infrastructure, more about advocating to cities, to places, to systems, to documents, to anything that we can center the arts for better outcomes. And so what you see happening, like our tactics, things like Butter, programs like I Made Rock and Roll, and there's so many things. These are all living experiments toward an equitable city. We are trying to figure out how to make cities equitable by way of the arts. And so outcomes then would be equitable cities, versus artists having additional platforms. They need to get paid as a result of this because that's what's due to them. But our work is to, again, talk about the critical need for infrastructure for artists' economic viability.
Because the outcome is art production, right? And just like how that leads to more beauty, equity, and culture in the city. And just like what does that component do to the quality of life of the city and the residents? Like what does that do to talent attraction and retention? Like what does that say to workforce development? Like we're standing up a creative sector within this ecosystem of Indianapolis because we have such a hotbed, growing, emerging artists, community. So we have the assets, and now we're seeing this dichotomy between like supply and demand. Everybody wants it. It was the answer to March Madness. It was the savior for NBA All-Star, and just in how we think about the intersection between sports and culture, just how we want to, create this new understanding of what is hospitality today. In this age, what is Hoosier hospitality, and how do we show that when we have over 50% of our residents now persons of color, when the world is looking a lot different, when there's more information that is so how we're moving at the speed of culture as it relates to leveraging this instrument to challenge mindsets, bring people together, challenge hearts as it relates to stereotypes and things that we've told, getting to see a lens outside of institution, getting to move outside of a construct. Race is a construct that America was built upon, that we subscribe to, that we invest in continually. And not to say that DEI is dead, but Melina had a lecture at Ball State where we talked about how DEI is dead. Not that it is dead, but it has fulfilled its purpose. And what's next? DEI wasn't the savior in 2020, right? So it was culture. That's where the world turned to. That's where we recognize then, and understanding where that production comes from is the artists, and what is needed for artists to produce to be sustainable, continue to scale and grow, and just how that work within itself helps the city become more beautiful. It's people-centric, and like when we're answering questions about talent retention and retraction, just all these, it's like, what do people want? They want something, they want to see something, they want to hear something, they want to taste something, they want to feel something. So it's about the senses, and just like how do you attach yourself to each one? Through the arts. You hear music, you taste food, you see beautiful things in architecture and buildings. We're standing right next to a huge pink building that has been the talk of the town, and a huge selfie like situation. And it's about beauty. It's about seeing things that are different but also appealing.
Our tourism bureau is really interested in butter specifically. Indianapolis over Labor Day weekend is now being talked about nationally, and so Indianapolis is inviting leisure travel, for the first time. And so we are seeing, data points change. We are seeing, the hotel sector respond differently. We're seeing, again, the arts in a way that could be thought of as like a micro convention, so Indianapolis's business sector, our private sector, that community is really interested in this programming because of what it's doing for the city, because it's working. Beyond talent attraction, beyond people moving back to Indianapolis, beyond offering opportunities for artists to be artists as a professional career, Indianapolis is different. Artists have hope again. People are thinking and talking about Central Indiana in different ways. Inc. magazine called Indy, we're having a rebrand, and we could become a place for multicultural artists. It's those types of things that are changing Indianapolis. You can feel it kind of in the air. And so beyond the data points that are moving, we can also feel the quality of life changing.
Yeah, it's the quality of life. It's the intentionality behind also the brand of the city. So we're it's not a rebrand, but it's an evolution of what Indianapolis is, currently and continues to be, which is a hub for beauty, equity, and culture. So now we're just, finding different ways to tell the story. Well, we have 5 teenagers. Like a personal note, we're trying to create a future where, they are proud of their city and wants to stay here and build life and enjoy their surroundings and continue to just contribute in ways that are special to them and meaningful versus doing that in somewhere else around the world.
I gotta go with the mission. I think I'm supercharged to, galvanize my team towards this really large mission. I have a sense of urgency about it. I think we have a lot to get out in a short amount of time, and so I'm supercharged by that.
Diana Gomez is a loan officer who takes a personal interest in helping her customers access the capital they need while protecting their credit.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Access to capital.
My name is Diana Gomez, and I'm a loan officer here at Financial Health. I work with all the members, trying to make sure they get to their financial needs, trying to make sure that what they're seeking is what they actually need. A lot of times they'll apply for something, but it doesn't work in their favor. So I try to work with them to make sure that they get to what they need to get, and it's something they're comfortable with, and it'll actually be beneficial in the long run. I'm seeing a lot of home equity loans and a lot of auto loans. Fortunately, there's been a lot of home improvements and things like that people need to get. Well, the weather changing and everything, and with all the rates and the cars going up, it's easier for them to try to consolidate all their debts into one payment. Where the home equity line of credits or the home equity fixed rate is a little bit more sustainable for them, so they can reach that goal. A lot of people, they don't really know what a home equity is. They think it's just like a regular mortgage, or a lot of people think it adds up to their mortgage. So we let them know that it's a separate loan, so you still have your regular mortgage, and you have either your line of credit or the home equity, the fixed rate. More people, they most likely need to fix their house, and then they need bills or they need something else. So a line of credit is a little bit more beneficial for them, because as you paying back the loan, you're able to reborrow from it. And then it's the same loan. You don't have to reapply again. As a fixed rate, you'll get the money all at once, and then you just work on paying that back. I had a member who was trying to purchase a car loan, but the way they were structuring it, it wasn't qualifying for it. So we figured out if she did a line of credit or a home equity line of credit, we could consolidate her credit cards. We could give her enough for her car payment that she needed, the car loan that she needed, and her monthly payment was actually less than what she was paying for all her credit cards. So sometimes they'll come in looking for a specific loan, and it won't work in their favor that way. Then we can, since we already pulled their credit and we already have all their information, we can see what other products are better suited for them and then steer them in that direction. So we do have our credit builder loan that we do twice a year. If you do it correctly, it does work in your favor. When I started working here, my credit was horrible. I wasn't able to pay anything. I did the credit builder loan, and I did it the way Ms. Clarice explained it to me when I first got it, and it actually does work. My credit went up. I was able to work with my financials. You sit down and they let you know what you can afford, where you should focus on, and how you should, you pay them back or pay them down. And it does work. If you do it correctly, it does work. I was a member long before I started working here. Yep. And then after, I did the credit builder loan and everything, I was able to purchase my house. So I've been here for 6 years, but I've been in my house for 5. So, if you do it right and you sit down with the financial counselors and you work on it, it does work. A little bit, maybe like a year or so ago, I remember she had 2 cars that she was trying to refinance, and she'd gone somewhere else before, but unfortunately one of her cars was over what was actually valued at, so she kept getting turned down. But she really needed both cars. So she was at the point where she was either going to have to sell one, and then her household was going to be struggling for a minute. So what we figured out was that the other car she had an extra collateral on what she actually owed. She owed less than what it was valued. So we were able to use the extra value for that car to bring down what she owed on the other one. We were able to refinance both vehicles, and her monthly payment was less than what she was actually paying for both cars at the moment. It's very easy to apply. You can apply online, you can apply at one of the branches. I always have some people come in, and before they apply, they tell me what they need, where they're at, and if they figure out if they actually need the loan or which way they should go. So, we're always available if they have any questions, so they need to come in, they can always call, email us. make an appointment with us before we sit down and do anything. I like when I'm actually able to help somebody. When I see, like that lady that was saying that her payment was actually less for both cars than what she was currently paying for one, and she was able to breathe a little bit more, and she was able to keep her cars, and she was just so grateful. And she sent other people now. People come in and they're like, "Hey, are you Deanna?" And I'll be like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, so-and-so sent me." And it's nice to know that she feels so grateful and that I was able to help her, that she's sending other people now, because they know that we'll do whatever we can to help them out.
We welcome you back with a question worth considering as you try to add to your bottom line. When people think of you or your business, what immediately comes to their mind? Today, Jamar Cobb-Denard shares insights into the importance of personal branding.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities, Accounting and Bookkeeping.
My name is Jamar Cobb-Denard. I'm an attorney and business broker, and we're at the Indiana CPA Society. So the first thing that I want to discuss is personal branding and how to become an overnight expert. One of the challenges that many people have is, how do I become recognized in the community in a way that helps with business development for my small business? There are a few things to do. Number one is to tell personal stories. And some of these personal stories can be on or published on LinkedIn, news programs like this, newsletters for clients, also writing some articles in newspapers, podcasting. There's a lot of different mediums that people can go out to talk about their own story. And typically, 20% of that story is personal, and 80% of that story is about business. So in business, consider telling other customer stories or the primary benefit of using a service that your business provides. Then the other 20% are successes that may be personal. For example, when I was 27, and this was forever ago, I rode a bicycle from Los Angeles to Boston, and I learned a lot of personal development tips and lessons along that trip. So I told that story over and over, and it really brought people's attention, not only to me, but also my career and my stature and brand as a professional. One of the other things to do is to consider horizontal networking. With horizontal networking, that's essentially not necessarily networking within the industry or networking specifically with other professionals who serve the same demographic or target market that you do, but considering serving the community, getting on boards, mentoring other people, ways that individuals can essentially spread their story, spread their expertise, spread their knowledge, and help others in the process can also bring a lot of boost to somebody's personal brand. There's a few things that allows personal branding to support somebody's career. One piece is to become known, and that's not for celebrity's sake or somebody's ego, but really it's about the community understanding someone's expertise and how they can help others through what they do from their professional career or the business that they own. Another piece with personal branding and why someone would want to have a stronger personal brand is leadership opportunities. So many of the leadership opportunities that I've been able to participate in, whether it's the Stanley K. Lacy Executive Leadership Series or being nominated 40 Under 40 in the Indianapolis Business Journal, it wasn't because of what I did as a professional, but it was because of what I did outside of work that built my professional brand and helped me to be painted in the light as a leader. Finally, one of the reasons why people would want to have a strong personal brand is to be able to have a positive reputation in the community. That goes back to business development and being able to bring more business into a CPA firm or even a cupcake shop, or it may be somebody's law firm, right? But that positive reputation in the community will help others see that business and that business owner in a positive light, and people will want to do business with that person instead of having to go out and scramble for more business.
Our thanks again to all the contributors who joined us for this episode of the Business Equity and Opportunities podcast. We hope you found it enlightening, useful, and inspiring. You'll find more information about the show on our website, BEOshow.com. You can watch Business Equity and Opportunities Sunday mornings at 10 on Wish TV or live stream it through wishtv.com. Each week we provide 7 full segments with topics ranging from how to get started and how to access capital to the day-to-day running of your business and questions about accounting and bookkeeping. We feature business news and trends and always share a success story from one of our contributors. Join us next time for more insights into the world of small business. Be sure to sign up for our Business Equity and Opportunities newsletter to get even more valuable, up-to-date information. And if you have any questions or you'd like to be part of our show, please email us. The address is beo@wishtv.com. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Scott Sander. Thanks for listening.
Watch the Business Equity and Opportunity Show on Wish TV and access all of our content and share it on demand anytime at BEOshow.com. You can find more podcasts from Wish TV on the All Indiana Podcast Network at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.